Cosmic Genesis Chronicle Chapter 5, Monsters. There are quite a few of them. Kaylin rubbed her hands. Not only was there no fear on her face, but she was eager to try. Okay. Princess, today I will show you what fantasy magic, a good show is. Serafina's mouth twitched again, wondering how this guy's brain circuit was developed. Could it be that he was directly connected to the black hole of the universe and specialized in absorbing weird ideas? Don't talk nonsense. Be careful. These monsters are not ordinary beasts. Serafina reminded, and at the same time, she began to condense magic energy in her hands. Before she finished speaking, a creepy roar came from the depths of the passage. Then, a group of strange-looking creatures rushed into the stone chamber like a tide. These monsters are about 2 meters tall, covered with black scales, with hideous heads, a pair of blood-red eyes, and sharp fangs in their mouths. They have thick limbs and sharp claws, and they are not easy to mess with at first glance. Oh my god. This design. Did the designer not pay enough? Why do they all look so abstract? Kaylin couldn't help but complain, but his movements were not slow at all. He immediately mobilized the fantasy energy in his body and formed a protective shield in front of him. Don't be distracted. They are coming. Serafina shouted and took the lead in attacking. She waved the magic wand in her hand, and ice cones shot at the monsters like sharp arrows. Frost shock. The ice cones hit several monsters accurately, freezing them into ice sculptures in an instant. But more monsters didn't care about the death of their companions and continued to rush towards the 2 people frantically. There are so many. Kaylin grinned, thinking that it seems that this time he is going to get serious. He took a deep breath and mobilized the fantasy energy and magic energy in his body at the same time. He wanted to try to combine these 2 completely different forces to see what kind of effect it would produce. Fusion. Start. Kaylin shouted in a low voice, concentrating his mind and carefully guiding the fantasy energy and magic energy into his dantian. The 2 energies were originally distinct and incompatible, but at this moment, under Kaylin's deliberate guidance, they began to slowly approach each other. Buzz. When the 2 energies came into contact, Kaylin's dantian shook violently, and a sharp pain instantly spread throughout his body. Oh my! It hurts. Kaylin couldn't help but scream out in pain, feeling that his dantian was about to explode. Kaylin. Are you okay? Serafina saw Kaylin's painful expression and asked nervously. Don't come over. I'm fine. Kaylin gritted his teeth and said while enduring the pain. He knew that this was a critical moment and he must not give up. He desperately controlled the 2 energies, letting them slowly rotate and merge. This process was extremely painful, as if dancing on the tip of a knife. If you are not careful, you will be crushed to pieces. Hold on a little longer. I'm about to succeed. Kaylin encouraged himself in his heart. As time passed, beads of sweat oozed out of Kaylin's forehead, and his face turned extremely pale. But he still didn't give up and continued to hold on. Finally, at a certain moment, Kaylin's dantian shook violently, and all the pain disappeared. Instead, there was an unprecedented sense of power. He felt that his body was full of explosive power, as if he could destroy everything. Success. Kaylin slowly opened his eyes flashing with excitement. He felt the new power in his body, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but rise slightly. At this moment, in his dantian, the 2 energies have completely merged together to form a new energy. This energy has both the domineering and wildness of fantasy energy and the mystery and elegance of magic energy, perfectly combined together. This feeling is really great. Kaylin couldn't help but whispered in admiration. Kaylin. Be careful. Serafina's exclamation brought Kaylin back to reality from his excitement. He looked up and saw a monster had rushed in front of him, waving its sharp claws and grabbing his face fiercely. Come on. Kaylin sneered, without dodging or avoiding, and punched out directly. With this punch, he burst out all the fusion energy in his body. Boom. With a loud bang, Kaylin's fist accurately hit the monster's chest. The monster didn't even have time to scream, and was directly blown into pieces, with blood and flesh flying everywhere. Oh my god. So fierce. Kalen was also shocked by the power of his punch. He didn't expect the fused energy to be so terrifying. Is this still a human? Serafina was also stunned. She was worried that Kalen would be injured, but she didn't expect him to kill a monster with one punch. Humph. A mere monster dares to be arrogant in front of me. Kalen smiled triumphantly, and his aura suddenly burst out, like the arrival of a god of war. Next, let you see what real power is. Kalen took a step forward and took the initiative to rush towards the group of monsters. He waved his fists, and each punch contained a powerful fusion energy, bombarding the monsters like a cannonball. Boom boom boom. One after another, the monsters were blasted into pieces by Kalen, and there was no resistance at all. Kalen was like a human meat grinder, and wherever he passed, blood and flesh flew, and broken limbs were scattered all over the ground. This is simply a one-sided massacre. Serafina looked at Kalen slaughtering monsters like cutting melons and vegetables, and couldn't help but exclaim. She originally thought that this battle would be very difficult, but she didn't expect Kalen to be so powerful. It seems that I still underestimated him. Serafina thought to herself. She looked at Kalen's heroic figure, and a strange feeling arose in her heart. In just a few minutes, Kalen slaughtered all the monsters in the stone chamber, leaving only the debris on the ground. Done. Princess, is my operation so handsome? Do you have the urge to marry me? Kalen brushed off the non-existent dust on his body and threw a coquettish look at Serafina. Serafina rolled her eyes and turned her head away proudly. Humph, barely passed. Don't forget, if it weren't for me, you would have been gnawed into bones by those ugly monsters. Oh, princess, are you being arrogant? Don't worry, I, Kalen, am a person who knows how to repay kindness, and I will definitely repay you in the future. Kalen leaned close to Serafina's ear and said in a slightly ambiguous tone. Serafina's cheeks flushed slightly, and she spat, "Who asked you to repay me? Let's go, it's so gloomy here, I don't want to stay any longer." The two walked out of the ruins along the passage without saying a word. However, when they came to the ground, they found that the scene in front of them was completely different from what they imagined. The originally empty wilderness was now full of various strange-shaped aircraft, filling the entire space. Soldiers wearing uniforms and holding energy guns surrounded the ruins. Oh my god, what's going on? Have we traveled to the interstellar version of Train to Busan? Kalen looked at the scene in front of her and couldn't help but exclaimed. Serafina's face also became solemn. This is the army of the Interstellar Alliance. How could they appear here? Just as the two were puzzled, a middle-aged officer in a dark blue uniform with 3 golden stars shining on his shoulder strap slowly walked over. His face was serious and his eyes were sharp, giving people a sense of majesty without anger. Who are you? Surrender immediately. This place has been blocked by the Interstellar Alliance. The officer said in an unquestionable tone. Surrender? What a joke. We are victims. Kalen shrugged and said innocently, we just accidentally fell into this hellhole and finally escaped. The officer's eyes swept back and forth between Kalen and Serafina, as if judging the truth of their words. Your identity is suspicious and must be investigated. The officer said coldly, take them away. Really? Just out of the wolf's den, into the tiger's den? Is my fate, Kalen, to be constantly treated as a suspect? Kalen couldn't help wailing. In this way, Kalen and Serafina were taken to a huge starship by the soldiers of the Interstellar Alliance like prisoners. The interior decoration of the starship was full of technology, various electronic screens were flashing, and the air was filled with a faint smell of disinfectant. Kalen and Serafina were taken into an interrogation room. There was only a table and 2 chairs in the room, which seemed particularly empty. Soon, the officer with 3 gold stars shining on his shoulder strap walked into the interrogation room, followed by several scientists in white coats and glasses. Let me introduce myself. I am Elias, the commander of the Interstellar Alliance Security Department. These 2 are scientists of the Alliance, responsible for conducting a physical examination on you. Officer Elias said expressionlessly. Physical examination? You are not going to draw my blood and study my genes. I warn you that my genes are full of various unstable factors. If any monsters are found in the research, I will not be responsible. Kalen said exaggeratedly. Officer Elias's mouth twitched, and he was obviously speechless about Kalen's nonsensical remarks. Please cooperate with our work. Officer Elias' tone was still cold. Kalen shrugged his shoulders, sat obediently on the chair, and let the scientists conduct various inspections on him. He thought to himself, since he was upright, he had nothing to fear, and no matter how they checked, they would not find any problems. However, as the inspection progressed, the expressions of the scientists became more and more strange, and their eyes were full of shock and confusion. Commander, this is incredible. A scientist walked up to Officer Elias and said in a trembling voice, this young man actually has two completely different energy systems in his body. One is similar to the internal force in fantasy novels, and the other is magic energy. What? Officer Elias was shocked when he heard this. You mean, he has both fantasy and magic power? How is this possible? We can't believe it, but it's a fact. The scientist said affirmatively. Moreover, these two energies seem to be merging in his body. This phenomenon is something we have never heard of or seen before. Officer Elias's face became extremely ugly, and he stared at Kalen with eyes full of vigilance and suspicion. Who are you? Officer Elias asked sternly, where does the power in your body come from? Kalen spread his hands and said innocently, I've said it before, I'm just an ordinary interstellar explorer, and I got these powers by accident. Accidentally? Do you think I will believe this nonsense? Officer Elias roared, the power in your body is very likely to threaten the safety of the entire interstellar alliance. We must find out your details. Threat safety? Sir, are you thinking too much? How can a weak young man like me threaten your powerful interstellar alliance? You think too highly of me, right? Kalen picked his nose and said with disdain. Humph, don't play dumb. The power in your body has attracted our high attention. Officer Elias said coldly, before we find out your details, you and your companions must stay here and accept our supervision. Supervision? Sir, you are illegally detaining me. I want to protest. I want human rights. Kalen jumped up and shouted loudly. Protest is invalid. Officer Elias waved his hand, and several soldiers immediately stepped forward and took Kalen and Serafina back to the cell. Really? Am I, Kalen, going to stay in jail for the rest of my life? Are my sea of stars and my adventure in the universe going to be ruined? Kalen wanted to cry but had no tears. However, just when Kalen felt desperate, a voice suddenly sounded in his mind. Don't lose heart, young man. Your destiny is far more than this. Remember, even in the dark, you must have light in your heart. Your future is full of infinite possibilities. Who is talking? Kalen raised his head suddenly and looked around, but found that there was no one around, only cold metal walls. No need to look for me, I'm in your mind. The voice sounded again, full of mystery. I am Illuravane, the guardian of the space-time rift. Your power has attracted my attention. Remember, the real test has just begun. Illuravane? The guardian of the space-time rift? What is this? Kalen was confused, feeling that his brain was not enough. Next, you will face greater challenges and stronger enemies. But remember, never give up hope at any time. Because you are the chosen one, you are responsible for saving the universe. The voice was getting farther and farther away, and finally disappeared. Kalen stood in the cell, unable to calm down for a long time. He knew that his fate had changed dramatically. Save the universe? Illuravane? The guardian of the space-time rift? What the hell is going on? Kalen scratched his head in the cell, feeling like he had accidentally entered a large cosplay scene, and it was the kind of extremely jumpy plot. Calm down, Kalen Thorne, calm down. He took a deep breath, trying to calm his restless heart. Maybe this is the price of the protagonist's halo? Well, it must be so. Otherwise, how could I be entrusted with such an important task inexplicably? Just as Kalen was comforting himself, the door of the cell creaked open. It was still the same expressionless soldiers, but this time they didn't bring food, but an old man? The old man was wearing a robe with star patterns and holding a staff inlaid with a huge gem. He looked like he had walked directly out of a fantasy movie. I say, the interrogation method of the Interstellar Alliance is really unique. Kalen couldn't help but complain. After the interrogation, they sent a magician to perform magic? Are they trying to use magic to make me confess? The old man ignored him at all, but walked straight to Serafina and said in a majestic tone, "Serafina Lyra, I am the elder of the Arcane Council, Eric Dahl. The council has learned about your situation, and we need you to go back for questioning." Serafina's face turned pale in an instant. She bit her lip, and seemed to be hesitating about something. "Arcane Council? What is that?" Kalen asked with a puzzled look. "It sounds like the name of an evil organization." "How dare you!" Eric Dahl shouted angrily, and slammed the staff in his hand on the ground. A visible energy wave instantly spread out, shaking the entire cell. The Arcane Council is the most sacred magic organization in the entire galaxy. You are not allowed to be profaned by ignorant people at will. Kalen was startled by the sudden energy fluctuations. He quickly stepped back and hid in the corner. "Oh my god, this old man is really good at magic. I have to be careful, don't let him turn me into a frog by accident. Elder Eric, I won't go back." Serafina took a deep breath and said firmly, "I am no longer the princess of the Magic Empire. I just want to explore the mysteries of the universe with Kalen now." "Nonsense!" Eric Dahl scolded. "You have noble magic blood flowing in your body, and you are responsible for the revival of the Empire. How can you be confused by such a guy of unknown origin?" "Unknown origin?" Kalen was unhappy when he heard this. "I say, old man, you have to be responsible for what you say. I, Kalen, am a legitimate interstellar explorer. How can I become a guy of unknown origin? An explorer who can't even control his own power, what qualifications does he have to be compared with our great princess?" Eric Dahl said disdainfully, "Serafina, I'll ask you one last time, are you willing to go back with me?" Serafina was silent for a moment, then raised her head and looked at Eric Dahl firmly. "I have made up my mind, I won't go back." "Okay, very good." Eric Dahl was so angry that he trembled all over. "Since you are stubborn, don't blame me for being rude. I will let you know that the will of the Arcane Council cannot be disobeyed." After speaking, the staff in Eric Dahl's hand once again shone brightly, and complex magic runes slowly emerged around him. "Oh my god, this old man is going to get serious." Seeing this, Kalen quickly turned on the battle mode. "Princess, be careful, this guy is not a good guy." "Kalen, don't worry about me, this is a matter between me and the Arcane Council," Serafina said. "What nonsense are you talking about?" Kalen grinned. "Since you recognize me as a friend, then your business is my business. Besides, I also want to see how powerful the so-called Arcane Council is." Seeing Kalen so ungrateful, Eric Dahl was immediately furious. "You ignorant guy, today I will let you see the power of magic." He swung the staff in his hand violently, and a huge fireball flew towards Kalen in an instant. Wherever the fireball passed, the air became distorted and emitted a scorching high temperature. "Oh my god, are you serious?" Kalen quickly used his fantasy martial arts, flashing like a ghost, and narrowly avoided the fireball's attack. The fireball hit the wall of the cell hard, and a huge hole was blown up, and gravel flew everywhere. "It was a close call, I almost became a barbecue," Kalen said with lingering fear. "Huh? Interesting." Eric Dahl looked at Kalen's body movements, and a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. "I didn't expect you to master such exquisite martial arts. However, in front of magic, everything is in vain." He waved his staff again, and ice cones, wind blades, and lightning poured down on Kalen like a rainstorm. The entire cell instantly turned into a dangerous magic trap. Kalen relied on his flexible body movements to barely avoid these magic attacks, but he knew that this was not a solution, and he had to find a way to fight back. What effect will the combination of fantasy martial arts and magic energy produce? A bold idea suddenly flashed through Kalen's mind. "Maybe, I can try to merge these two forces together." Thinking of this, Kalen no longer hesitated. He took a deep breath and began to mobilize the fantasy internal force in his body, while guiding the magic energy obtained from the cracks in time and space. Two completely different forces began to slowly merge in his body. This process was extremely painful. Kalen felt that his meridians were about to be torn apart, but he gritted his teeth and endured desperately. He knew that as long as he successfully merged these two forces, he would have more powerful power. Huh? What is this kid doing? Eric Dahl looked at Kalen's actions, and a trace of doubt flashed in his eyes. Does he want to use martial arts to fight magic? It's really stupid. Just when Eric Dahl was disdainful, the two forces in Kalen's body finally completed the initial fusion. An unprecedented powerful force instantly filled his whole body. Now, Kalen suddenly opened his eyes flashing with dazzling light. He put his hands together and suddenly pushed out a palm towards Eric Dahl. Fusion technique. Fantasy magic cannon. A beam of energy intertwined with light and darkness, like a laser cannon, instantly gushed out from Kalen's palm and whistled towards Eric Dahl. What? Eric Dahl was shocked. He had never seen such a strange power. It had both the mystery of magic and the strength of martial arts. It was simply unheard of and unseen. He quickly waved his staff to resist the energy beam, but it was too late. The energy beam instantly hit his magic shield, like a dead tree and rotten wood, shattering the shield in an instant, and then fiercely bombarded him. Puff. Eric Dahl immediately spat out a mouthful of blood, flew backwards, hit the wall of the cell hard, and then fell heavily to the ground, and the staff in his hand fell to the side. The whole cell was quiet in an instant, leaving only Kalen's heavy breathing. I say, old man, are you okay? Kalen walked in front of Eric Dahl, squatted down, and asked with concern, do you want me to give you artificial respiration? Eric Dahl raised his head with difficulty and looked at Kalen, his eyes full of shock and fear. Who are you? Where does the power in your body come from? I've said it all, I'm just an ordinary interstellar explorer, and these powers are all obtained by me by accident. Kalen shrugged and said innocently, believe it or not. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Eric Dahl muttered to himself, seemingly unable to accept this fact. He really couldn't imagine how an ordinary interstellar explorer could have such a powerful force. Even he, the elder of the Arcane Council, was no match for him. Just then, there was a sound of hurried footsteps outside the cell, and several soldiers from the Interstellar Alliance rushed in with energy guns. What happened? A soldier asked. It's okay, it's just a friendly exchange. Kalen waved his hand and said, this old man just wanted to learn martial arts from me, but he accidentally used too much force and got injured. The soldiers looked at Kalen and Eric Dahl doubtfully, but in the end they didn't say anything, but carried Eric Dahl out. Kalen looked at the soldiers' backs as they left and grinned. It seems that this Interstellar Alliance is not a monolithic entity. At least, they are quite polite to magicians. He turned his head and looked at Serafina, and said proudly, how about it, princess, is my operation so handsome? Do you feel like you want to look at me with new eyes? Serafina looked at Kalen, and a complex look flashed in her eyes, with both surprise and worry. She knew that the power Kalen possessed was far beyond her imagination, and it also meant that he would face more dangerous challenges. Kalen, you. Serafina was about to say something, but was suddenly interrupted by Kalen. SHH. Kalen stretched out a finger, put it to his mouth, and made a gesture of silence. He walked to the wall of the cell, put his ear to the wall, and listened carefully. What's wrong? Serafina asked in confusion. Hush, keep your voice down. Kalen said, I seem to hear someone plotting something. He listened attentively and vaguely heard a few low voices coming from the cell next door. We must get rid of him as soon as possible. His power is a huge threat to us. That's right, we can't let him continue to grow. Otherwise, our plan will fail. I have arranged it. Tomorrow night, I will send someone to sneak into the cell and get rid of him completely. Get rid of me? Humph, kids, you have never seen what a real wall-hanging player is. Kalen paced back and forth in the cell with a wicked smile on his lips. The whispers of the guys in the cell next door sounded like a bedtime story to him. However, since someone wanted to make trouble, he didn't mind accompanying him to the end and adding some experience points to himself. Princess, it seems that our popularity in the Interstellar Alliance is not very good. Kalen turned to look at Serafina, winking and said, how about we play a prison break? It's exciting and stress relieving, and you can also kill monsters and level up, by the way, killing 3 birds with 1 stone. Serafina rolled her eyes at him and said unhappily, it's time, you still have the mind to joke. Since those people dare to plot against you, they must be well prepared, you'd better be careful. Don't worry, princess, I'm the protagonist. The protagonist's halo protects me, I'm invulnerable to swords and guns, and I'm not vulnerable to water and fire. A few minions are no problem at all. Kalen patted his chest and assured, his tone was as relaxed as if he was talking about what to eat for lunch today. Although he said this, Kalen still had an idea in his mind. Although his current strength is very strong, after all, he has just integrated fantasy martial arts and magic energy, and he is not proficient in the use of these 2 powers. If those people really send some masters, he may not be able to deal with them easily. It seems that I have to find a way to improve my strength as soon as possible. Kalen thought to himself. He walked to the corner of the cell, sat down cross-legged, closed his eyes, and began to meditate. He first mobilized the mysterious inner force in his body, allowing it to flow slowly in the meridians to nourish his body. At the same time, he was also guiding the magic energy obtained from the cracks in time and space to let it blend with the mysterious inner force and promote each other. This process was extremely slow and extremely painful. 2 completely different forces kept colliding and rubbing in his body, as if 2 ferocious beasts were fighting for territory. Kalen felt that his meridians were about to be torn apart, and his head was splitting. No, this is not a solution. Kalen frowned. He found that he was still too eager for success. It was impossible to completely merge the 2 forces in one breath. He must change his strategy, proceed step by step, and slowly explore. He began to try to control the 2 forces separately, letting the fantasy inner force strengthen his body and improve his defense and attack power, letting the magic energy release magic and enhance the range and power of his magic attack. In this way, he can maximize the advantages of the 2 forces and avoid conflicts between the 2 forces in his body. This method really works. Kalen feels that his body has gradually adapted to this new way of distributing power, and the pain has also been reduced a lot. He began to try to release magic. He first released a small fireball, which slowly rotated in his palm and emitted scorching heat. Then, he injected the fantasy inner force into the fireball. Suddenly, the color of the fireball became brighter, the size doubled, and the temperature emitted became more terrifying. Oh my god, the power has increased so much. Kalen looked at the fireball in his hand, and a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. He found that the fantasy inner force can not only strengthen his body, but also strengthen his magic. He tried to release an ice cone again, and then injected the fantasy inner force into the ice cone. Suddenly, a thick layer of frost condensed on the surface of the ice cone, emitting a biting cold. The speed of the ice cone also became faster and more powerful. Great. This way, my means of attack will be more diverse. Kalen said excitedly. He found that as long as he could flexibly use the fantasy inner force and magic energy, he could create a variety of combination skills, which greatly improved his strength. Next, Kalen began to try to merge the 2 forces at a deeper level. He was no longer satisfied with controlling the 2 forces separately, but wanted to completely merge them together to create a new force. This process was more difficult and more dangerous. The 2 forces kept colliding and rubbing in his body, like 2 high-speed spinning tops that could explode at any time. Kalen felt that his brain was about to be torn apart, and his consciousness began to blur. No, I can't give up. I must succeed. Kalen gritted his teeth and endured desperately. He knew that as long as he could successfully fuse these 2 powers, he would have the power to surpass everything and become a truly powerful person. Just as he was about to collapse, a flash of inspiration suddenly flashed through his mind. He remembered the strange scenes he had seen in the cracks of time and space. He remembered the ferocity of fantasy martial arts, the mystery of magic energy, the vastness of the universe, and the meaning of life. He integrated all his memories and all his perceptions into his power. He no longer regarded fantasy internal force and magic energy as two completely different forces, but as different manifestations of the same force. He began to try to unify the two forces, let them merge and transform each other, and finally merge into one. A miracle happened. The two forces slowly merged together in his body to form a new force. This is a force full of vitality, energy, and infinite possibilities. This power has both the ferocity of fantasy martial arts and the mystery of magic energy, as well as the vastness of the universe and the meaning of life. Kalen felt that his body was as if rejuvenated and full of power. His meridians became tougher, his bones became stronger, and his muscles became more elastic. His consciousness became clearer and his thinking became more agile. He opened his eyes suddenly, and there was a dazzling light in his eyes. He felt that he had broken through the limit and reached a new realm. Is this the power of fusion? It's amazing, Kalen said excitedly. He stood up, stretched his muscles, and felt full of strength. He walked to the wall of the cell, took a deep breath, and then punched hard. The fist hit the wall hard, and suddenly, a huge hole appeared on the wall, and the gravel splashed. Oh my god, this power is comparable to that of a demolition team. Kalen looked at the scene in front of him and was amazed. He found that his current strength was far beyond his previous imagination. Kalen, you. Serafina looked at Kalen, her eyes full of shock and admiration. She really couldn't imagine that Kalen could completely fuse two completely different powers in such a short time and reach such a powerful realm. How about it, princess? Is my move so cool that I have no friends? Do you have the urge to marry me? Kalen turned his head and looked at Serafina, winking and said. Serafina rolled her eyes at him and said unhappily, stop talking nonsense. You are powerful now, but don't get carried away. Those people may come to deal with you at any time. You'd better be careful. Don't worry, princess, I know what I'm doing. Kalen grinned and said, but if they really dare to come, I will let them know what it means to play the pig and eat the tiger. He walked to the wall of the cell, put his ear against the wall, and listened carefully to the movement of the cell next door. He knew that those people would definitely not give up, and they would definitely find ways to get rid of him. And what he had to do was to wait and see, wait for the opportunity, and then give them a surprise blow. The good show is about to start, Kalen said secretly in his heart, with excitement in his eyes. Kalen, you kid. What are you doing with the plane again? Commander Elias' voice came through the communicator, with a hint of helplessness and a hint of a smile that could not be hidden. I just pulled you out of the confinement room, and before you could even catch your breath, you demolished the cell for me. Do you think the prison of the Interstellar Alliance is a shoddy project? Kalen shrugged at the communicator, looking innocent. Captain Elias, you are wronging me. This is really not me. It was the wall that moved first. I just touched it lightly, and it's gone in an instant. Serafina covered her mouth and chuckled at the side. She was used to Kalen's ability to confuse right and wrong. This guy, he clearly blasted a big hole in the wall of the prison, and he said that the wall moved by itself. He is simply a cosmic level scapegoat. Okay, stop talking nonsense. Commander Elias interrupted Kalen's quibbling unhappily. This matter is much more serious than demolishing the wall. Do you know that your fusion of alien energy has caused an uproar among the top leaders of the Interstellar Alliance? Oh? Really? Kalen touched his chin, looking indifferent. So what? Do they want to slice me up for research? Not to the point of slicing, but they want to test your strength. Commander Elias' voice became serious. The Interstellar Alliance has invited you to an interstellar fight. Interstellar fight? Kalen was stunned, and then a glimmer of excitement flashed in his eyes. It sounds interesting. What kind of fight is it? Is it like the ancient Roman Colosseum, where I fight with all kinds of strange interstellar creatures? Almost. Chief Elias' tone was a little strange. Interstellar Gladiatorial Contest is a special competition set up by the Interstellar Alliance to select talents. Participants need to fight against various powerful opponents in a specific arena. The final winner will be trained by the Interstellar Alliance and may even enter the Interstellar Council. Enter the Interstellar Council. Kalen raised her eyebrows. It sounds tempting. But, why should I participate in this kind of competition? What's in it for me? Of course there are many benefits. Chief Elias said in a persuasive manner. First, you can prove your strength to the entire Interstellar Alliance and gain a higher status and reputation. Secondly, you can get a lot of resources and rewards, including various rare minerals, advanced technology, and even a chance to get a legendary artifact. Artifact? Kalen's eyes lit up instantly. What kind of artifact is it? How powerful is it? Can it blow up a planet with one punch? Commander Elias was choked by Kalen's train of thought. He coughed twice and said, I can't reveal too much about the artifact for the time being. Anyway, if you can win the championship of the Interstellar Arena, you will have the opportunity to see it with your own eyes. Okay, deal. Kalen agreed without hesitation. I accept the invitation of the Interstellar Alliance. When will it start? It will be held in the Interstellar Arena in 3 days. Commander Elias said, remember, this competition is very serious. Your opponents are all top masters from various interstellar civilizations. Don't take it lightly. Don't worry, Commander Elias, I will definitely do my best. Kalen said confidently, I will let those interstellar masters know what it means to be a wall-climbing player from Earth. After hanging up the call, Kalen rubbed his hands excitedly and said to Serafina, Princess, it seems that we are going to be famous all over the universe. Interstellar fighting. It sounds exciting. Are you interested in going to the scene to cheer for me? Serafina rolled her eyes and said unhappily, I don't have time to watch you show off. But, this opponent is really not to be underestimated. You'd better prepare seriously. Don't worry, Princess, I know my limits. Kalen smiled mysteriously. By the way, Princess, do you have any secret magic tricks that you can teach me at the last minute? Maybe they can be of great use. Serafina pondered for a moment and said, okay, since you are so sincere, I will teach you a few life-saving magic tricks with great difficulty. But, you must study hard, don't lose face for me. No problem, Princess. I promise to study hard, make progress every day, and strive to become a qualified magician as soon as possible. Kalen vowed. In the next 3 days, Kalen began a devilish training. During the day, he learned various magic tricks from Serafina. From basic elemental magic to advanced spells, he studied hard, and strived to master more magic skills in a short time. At night, he practiced fantasy martial arts in his room crazily, constantly improving his internal strength and strengthening his physical fitness. He combined the fantasy inner force with the magic energy, trying to create more combo skills to make his attack methods more diverse. Jax Xenon also joined Kalen's training plan. He used his superb scientific and technological knowledge to tailor a special training device for Kalen. This device can simulate various combat environments, allowing Kalen to practice combat with various powerful opponents in the virtual arena. With the help of Jax Xenon, Kalen's strength has been rapidly improved. He is more proficient in the use of fantasy martial arts and magic energy, and is more adept at mastering various combo skills. He even created some new attack methods, bringing his combat effectiveness to a new height. 3 days passed in a flash. The day of the interstellar fight has finally arrived. The Interstellar Arena is a giant arena built by the Interstellar Alliance for the purpose of hosting interstellar fights. The arena is located on a desolate planet, surrounded by countless meteorites and star fragments, giving people a desolate and magnificent feeling. Inside the arena is a huge circular venue surrounded by countless spectator seats. At this time, the spectator seats are already full of spectators from various interstellar civilizations, all of whom are looking forward to the start of this grand competition. Kalen stood at the entrance of the arena, took a deep breath, and calmed himself down. He knew that this competition was crucial to him. If he could win the game, he could prove his strength to the entire Interstellar Alliance, gain a higher status and reputation, and lay a solid foundation for his future plans. Kalen, come on. Serafina walked to Kalen and said, I'm so happy. Serafina, Kalen patted his shoulder gently and said, I believe you can win. Don't worry, Princess, I won't let you down. Kalen smiled slightly, his eyes full of confidence. He turned around and strode into the arena. He knew that a fierce battle was about to begin. He wanted to let those interstellar masters know what it means to be a pig and eat a tiger. Welcome to the interstellar arena. A magnetic voice sounded above the arena. I am the host of this interstellar arena, Clark. Next, let us witness this peak showdown between interstellar civilizations together. As soon as Clark's voice fell, the light above the arena lit up instantly, illuminating the entire venue like daylight. At the same time, countless light screens rose around the arena, showing the list of contestants in this interstellar arena. Kalen glanced at the list of contestants and found that they were indeed top masters from various interstellar civilizations. Some had powerful technological power, some had mysterious magical abilities, and some had terrifying physical fitness. Each of them should not be underestimated. There are a total of 10 contestants in this interstellar fight. Clark's voice sounded again. The rules of the game are very simple, that is, the winner is the king. The person who finally stands in the arena is the champion of this interstellar fight. Now, let's welcome all the contestants with warm applause. Clark shouted loudly. Following Clark's voice, the 10 entrances of the arena opened at the same time, and 10 contestants slowly walked in. Kalen stood in place, looking at these opponents, his eyes full of excitement. The show is about to begin. Kalen said to himself, with a wicked smile on his lips, let me play with you. The spotlight swept across the 10 contestants, and Clark began his passionate introduction. Look at these faces. They are elites from all corners of the universe. Some are technology geeks, some are magic masters, and some are, pure muscle lumps. But no matter what, they will do their best for glory, for rewards, and to look cool in front of girls. The camera finally stopped on Kalen, and Clark screamed, wow. This guy looks a little unfamiliar. Let's take a look at his information. Oh. Kalen Thorne from Earth. Earth. Isn't that a primitive planet that still uses fossil energy? Is the threshold of the Interstellar Alliance already so low? But, maybe they are just pretending to be pigs and eating tigers. Let's wait and see. Kalen grinned at the camera and made a V sign. I cursed in my heart, this host is so talkative. When I win the championship, I will ask him to serve me tea and water. Okay. No more nonsense. The game begins. Clark waved his hand, and an energy barrier instantly rose around the arena, surrounding the contestants. This fight adopts a free-for-all mode. All contestants, release your wild power to your heart's content. Just as Clark finished speaking, a 3-meter-tall, muscular man with rock-like skin roared and rushed towards Kalen first. Earth monkey. Die. Kalen's eyelids jumped. This muscle lump looked like he was not easy to mess with. Your Highness, it seems I have to be more serious. Kalen muttered. Seraphina's voice sounded in his mind, don't be careless, that is the descendant of the god of war from the rock star, born with supernatural power and extremely strong defense. Got it? Kalen took a deep breath and mobilized the mysterious inner force in his body. In an instant, a strong airflow surrounded his body, and his eyes flashed with golden light. Roar. The rock man waved his huge fist, with the sound of whistling wind, and hit Kalen hard. Kalen did not retreat but advanced, his figure was like a ghost, shuttling between the gaps of the strong man's fists, avoiding this fatal blow. It's quite fast. The rock man was a little surprised, but he was not panicked. His huge body was like a tank, rushing around, trying to force Kalen into a corner. Kalen was flexible and kept dodging, while looking for opportunities to counterattack. It would definitely not work to fight head-on, you have to outsmart him. Just as the rock man swung his fist again, Kalen's eyes flashed, he jumped up suddenly, lightly touched the strong man's shoulder with his toes, and took off into the air with the force. Want to run? No way. The rock man roared, put his hands together, and slapped Kalen in the air. At this critical moment, Kalen's mouth curled up a wicked smile. Princess, watch me. In an instant, Kalen formed seals with his hands and muttered something. A mysterious magical energy surged out of his body, forming a complex magic circle in front of him. Frost Nova. A dazzling blue light burst out from the magic circle, instantly covering the rock man. Roar. What is this? It's so cold. The rock man screamed, his movements became slow, and a thick layer of frost began to condense on his body. Kalen seized the opportunity, swooped down from the air, and gathered the mysterious inner force in his hands to form a golden light blade. Xian Guangzhan. The golden light blade, with a fierce murderous aura, slashed the rock man's neck fiercely. Puff. With a muffled sound, the rock man's head flew high, and his huge body fell to the ground. Oh. Unbelievable. Kalen Thorne from Earth actually killed the descendant of the god of war on the rock star in one move. Clark's voice was full of shock. This is simply a miracle. In the audience, there was an instant burst of exclamations, and everyone was shocked by Kalen's thunderous means. Well done. Serafina smiled with relief in the audience. After solving the rock man, Kalen did not relax his vigilance. He knew that this was just the beginning. The remaining opponents would only become stronger. Sure enough, just as Kalen was gasping for breath, a green light suddenly attacked him. Kalen dodged the attack with a flash, and when he looked closely, he saw a petite elf girl with a pair of green wings on her back, holding a magic wand and glaring at him. Damn earthlings! How dare they kill my companions? I want revenge for him, the elf girl screamed, waving her magic wand, and green rays of light rained down on Kalen. Ouch, a mage. Kalen muttered, dodging constantly, and looking for opportunities to get close to the elf girl. He doesn't have an advantage in long-range attacks. Wind blade. Vine entanglement. Toxic spores. The elf girl released various magic spells in succession, and Kalen was forced to retreat step by step. Some green venom was also stained on his body, and he felt a tingling pain. No, I will be exhausted if I continue like this. Kalen frowned, and he had to think of a way. At this moment, Kalen suddenly noticed that there was a huge mirror hanging above the arena. The mirror's surface was as smooth as water, reflecting dazzling light. Got it? Kalen's eyes flashed with inspiration, and he rushed towards the mirror. Seeing this, the elf girl immediately waved her magic wand, and green rays of light shot towards Kalen like a rain of arrows. Kalen's body spun like a gyroscope, dodging all attacks and finally coming to the bottom of the mirror. Next, it's time to witness a miracle. Kalen took a deep breath, mobilized the mysterious inner force in his body, and at the same time formed seals with his hands and chanted something. Light and shadow. In an instant, Kalen's figure dispersed like mist and merged into the light reflected by the mirror. Huh? Where is she? The elf girl was a little flustered, looking around, but she couldn't find Kalen. At this moment, the mirror suddenly twisted, and countless Kalen's figures emerged from the mirror like phantoms, surrounding the elf girl. Wow! So many Kalen! Which one is the real one? The elf girl was completely stunned and screamed in horror. Hey, little sister, guess where I am? Countless Kalens spoke at the same time, their voices echoing in the ears of the elf girl like ghosts. No. The elf girl completely collapsed, waving her magic wand recklessly, and green rays of light shot randomly in all directions. It's over. A Kalen figure suddenly appeared behind the elf girl, and chopped her neck fiercely with a knife. Plop. With a sound, the elf girl's petite body fell to the ground and lost consciousness. The mirror returned to calm, all the phantoms disappeared, and only Kalen was left, standing in the center of the arena, with a wicked smile on the corner of his mouth. Oh. Unbelievable. Kalen Thorne from Earth actually used light and shadow to create illusions, confused the elf girl, and successfully defeated her. Clark's voice was completely hoarse. This is simply magic. No. It's magic. It's magic from Earth. Thunderous applause and cheers broke out again in the audience, and everyone was impressed by Kalen's strange and powerful ability. He can actually use magic. Serafina widened her eyes and looked at Kalen in disbelief. Kalen blinked at Serafina and showed a smug smile. He knew that his performance had just begun. In the next game, Kalen was like a cheat, perfectly integrating fantasy martial arts with magic secrets, creating all kinds of incredible attack methods. Sometimes he transformed into a sword fairy with sword energy, sometimes into a wizard who controlled elements, and sometimes into a close combat god of war, playing with all opponents in the palm of his hand. Whether it was the mechanical warriors with powerful technological power, the shadow wizards with mysterious magical abilities, or the orc berserkers with terrifying physical fitness, they could not resist Kalen's attack, which was like a cheat, and they were defeated one after another. Finally, when the last opponent, an elite warrior from the Interstellar Alliance, also fell at Kalen's feet, the whole arena was boiling. Oh. Unbelievable. Kalen Thorne from Earth, actually won. He became the champion of this interstellar fight. Clark's voice was completely broken, but he still roared with all his strength, as if to release all his passion. Hero! 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 In the audience, countless audiences raised their hands and cheered wildly, all of them were shouting for this legendary hero from Earth. Kalen stood in the center of the arena, bathed in the dazzling light, accepting cheers from the entire universe. He raised his hands and greeted all the audience, with a confident and bright smile on his face. Long live the Earth! Kalen shouted to the sky, and his voice resounded throughout the interstellar arena. At this moment, a beam of light fell from the sky and enveloped Kalen. A senior member of the Interstellar Alliance, wearing golden armor and with a majestic face, slowly landed on the arena. Kalen Thorne, you have shown great strength and potential. The Interstellar Alliance has decided to award you the Interstellar Medal of Honor and invite you to join the Interstellar Council. The man's majestic voice resounded throughout the arena, and the audience burst into thunderous applause again. Kalen Thorne, the boy from Earth, became famous in the universe overnight.
Let's stop reading the novel here. See you in the next chapter. Please follow us.